up on top there. Highest peak here is 4,000 feet. This is getting down toward the southern end of the Sierra Nevada mountains. An interesting thing here, I've never seen sheep eating carrots before. Seem to like them. Looks like they just got clipped. There is a lot of sheep out here, Southern California. The trailer back there belongs to a Basque sheep herder, Spanish. I've seen a lot of small trailers following their sheep herds around. This is up in the Tehachapi Mountains, just outside the town of Tehachapi. Snow up there. Usually in a couple of weeks this whole area will look like Michigan, completely snow covered. Now behind me, looking off onto the hilltops, you'll see, well, actually there's tens of thousands of wind generators. And the span on some of the propellers are 60 to 80 feet. Some of the towers are 200 and 300 feet high. Gives you an idea of the size. Now this is located just above the town of Tehachapi, and I'll see them from this location, and the windmills will go all through the mountains, clear to Bakersfield. Now this is a view of Interstate 58. Runs through Tehachapi. Got a lot of snow in the mountains above the town here. Almost makes you dizzy watching these things. Off in the distance you can see the Mojave Desert. The town of Mojave out in the distance. Back over here. Well, this is November 17th. Stayed overnight here at the Red Rock Canyon State Park. It's about 25 miles north of Mojave, the town. You see the Joshua trees, the picture. Right now it's about 7:30 in the morning. The sun is just coming up over the peak there. Edwards Air Force Base is just about 50 miles south of here, and a lot of plane traffic last night. Jets, stealth bombers, B-52s, a few ultralights. I'll take some video of these rock formations up here today. They're really incredible. Used to be sea bottom. It's sand dunes that have solidified. Lots of Joshua trees here. About every square inch of this place out here has rabbit droppings. Saw a cottontail out here last night. They must have jackrabbits and cottontails together. It's very pretty out here. Got up this morning, it was 41 degrees. This is what they call high desert. We're about 4,000 feet right here. It's amazing what nature does to evolve into its proper climatic conditions. These fellows who make the nature shows, they go by a written script, so they know exactly what they're going to be doing and saying as the film rolls. And most of what I say is strictly ad hoc, just spur of the moment conversation. Mesquite bush here. Has a nice smell to it too when you crush it up in your hands. It smells like mesquite. It's amazing what the wind does to these old sand dunes. Now they've solidified. Got a lot of nice campsites here. Kind of an interesting situation here in the John, though. No roof. Chipmunk type ground squirrels here. Wind is pretty strong. Almost looks like ancient Egyptian valley with the carvings and the hillsides. Valley of the Pharaohs. Trying to call him in. They aren't like the golden mantled ground squirrel up on Mount Shasta. Those things came in, they just took over the picnic table. I'll have to look these guys up when I get back to the trailer. Cave down here, carved into the sandstone. Goes up there about 30 feet. There's a little room in here. Somebody can start a campfire. Some Indian hieroglyphics. That's where I had my tripod set up right there. It's just a little too dark though when I took the shot of me walking in here. Some side chasms here. Looks like a miniature Zion Canyon National Park. This is about 40 feet high right here, this formation. There's a raven eating lunch. Off in the distance you can see the ranger headquarters, park entrance. And down here you can see Highway 14 runs between town of Mojave and Las Vegas. And the highway runs up along this crest up here. I've always liked this kind of country. It's wide open. It's so totally different because of the stone formations. The wildlife is so much different than what I'm used to. Not having trees out here doesn't bother me at all. This place just has a uniqueness. Quite a few Hollywood westerns have been shot out in this Red Rock Canyon area. That's the ranger headquarters. See my trailer down here. That wind sure is fierce. Probably hitting about 50. Distance, you can see the road going to Mojave over here. It's about 25 miles south of the park. There's my campsite right there with the trailer. You get up near the edge of this rim rock right here, and that wind just about blows you over. Follow this ridgetop trail back here, and then back to the trailer, then have some lunch and head over to Johannesburg and Randburg. Those are two mining towns about 30 miles to the east, and the terrain was so similar to South Africa and so rich in gold that they adopted those two names for those two mining towns, Johannesburg and Randburg. Over here you can see where the dark volcanic rock butts up against this sandstone. This is the type of stuff you find your gold in, volcanic rock. Nice sunny day, but awful windy. Well, November 17th, and the ants are still busy. Looks like a gold mine. Eclipse. This is the Fremont Valley down here, and the Southern Pacific Railroad runs down through the middle of it. The little metropolis of Saltdale is down here. This is a salt bed lake down here. This is the Red Rock Highway out in front of me, and I'm going to go up this dirt road here up to Last Chance Gulch. Now, there's a couple claims up there I'm going to check out. Belong to Gold Prospectors Association of America. They've got 3 or 4 claims up there. These are the El Paso Mountains. It's about 10 miles from the Red Rock campground where I stayed last night. Well, this is November 18th. I'm camped about a mile off the highway right here. Got my camp all set up. I'll check these hills up here for the sign of gold. Check the rock outcrops. This is called Last Chance Canyon. There's about 4 gold mines up and down the sides of it. I'll check up along the crests of the hills with my metal detector. Lots of jackrabbits out here. I'll probably pot a couple. Well, just over the horizon here is Barstow, and over here about 30 miles is Edwards Air Force Base. That's where the space shuttle lands. And over here is the town of Mojave. This whole area here is the Mojave Desert. Randsburg and Johannesburg, California are just over the bridge. I hate to be an asshole for mentioning this, but it's 73 degrees right now. Sunshine. I'm in a short sleeve safari shirt. I can imagine what the weather is like up there in Michigan right now, November 18th. It's about 10 o'clock in the morning right now, and it's already in the 70s. Yeah, I wanted to camp further up the canyon here, but the roads are washed out. And besides, this spot right here gets most of the sunshine during the day. It does get cool at night. It dropped down to 34 last night. And I get real good television reception up here. Comes out of trying to think of the name of the place now. Barstow. A lot of volcanic pumice stone up here. This is my driveway. It's not a bad road coming in here. It's just off the Red Rock Randsburg Highway. We'll go up here and I'll show you some of the work that some of the guys have been doing, the prospectors. A lot of people have camped in this spot. There's at least 40 different campfire rings all up and down this area here. There's a volcanic cone over here on the other side of the salt flat that I want to check out eventually too. I can pick it up in my viewfinder. There it is, right there. Those are generally pretty good places for mineral extrusions. Got a farm down here, irrigates. Field is real green. At night I can see the lights of Edwards Air Force Base, Barstow, and Mojave. Don't have many trees here, not even Joshua trees. One operation a fellow's been working on here. He's separating the sand and gravel from gold. got about a half dozen shafts here that go down about 40 to 50 feet straight down. Would be a son of a bitch to step in at night. They make no attempt at all to put a fence around these things. You'd have a guy on a motorcycle cruising through here, say when the light was bad in the evening, and that would be all she wrote. Created a little shelter here. They probably had a roof on it one time. Got places for putting food. Shelf over here. One here, another one here. Pretty solid, just like concrete. Yeah, somebody went to a lot of work. There's gold in this solidified stream wash. Well, I guess this is one way to plug a shaft. Hope nobody was in it. Looks like the car Bonnie and Clyde drove in. Yeah, this is not a pretty deep hole here. Somebody said ouch. Well, you can see my camp right here. And this is the Last Chance Canyon River. Dry right now. A lot of good bedrock here. You can see how the road washed out right here. I've seen where people have been driving up the riverbed, but I wouldn't care to do that. The sand is pretty deep. I'm walking it. I'm going to check these places that have a lot of mineral staining. There's one here, and then there's one over on this side. Anytime you've got mineral staining, you've got silver or gold along with the iron, which creates the stain. But I'll end up checking basically just along the ridge tops. A lot of guys have been checking for nuggets, placer gold along the stream course, but boy, that stuff is so deep. Sink clear down to bedrock. Might be looking at 30 or 40 feet down. There's mule deer out here, mountain lion, bobcat. This area right here is prehistoric lakeshore. I'm kind of on the high side of it. Used to be mammoth, saber-toothed tiger, rhinoceros, camels, just about everything they've got in Africa today, they had it here several million years ago. Or I should say about 20 to 30,000 years ago. I'll give you an overview of the area here. There's camp. You can see the main highway over here, about a mile. Had a jet go over and I was looking up for him and he was just about 100 feet off the salt flat down there. I saw a C-130 fly over. That's one I used to jump out of. Airborne. A couple shafts down here. I'm going to check their tailings right here with my metal detector. Sometimes they got careless. And there's another tailing pile right here. Tailing piles are good places to check out. There's so many hillocks and draws and little valleys up here for gold to collect in, and many times it never gets down into the main canyon. It's called a pocket when the gold collects up in the side canyon or up on a hill. That's where you can find the good stuff. Here's one of the mine shafts. These are the tailings that came out of the shaft. Looks like they went quite a ways back in. It's a pretty good sized pile. Don't have a light with me, so I'm not going to go left over here. One over here. Oh, right there. And there's another one up the hill here. So this this whole canyon here I'm gonna check out. I'm sure it's been checked 100 times before, but you never know. You see the dikes they put out here for the gathering the salt. Bet you eventually when they do get rain out here, this whole lake bed will fill up. Well, this is November 19th. Just had an aerial dogfight up here between a couple jets from Edwards Air Force Base. All day long and part of the night they have air maneuvers. Had a Huey Cobra attack helicopter fly over the other day. I thought he was going to strafe me. Had a couple of miniguns mounted on the sides. Got a little cloud cover today. Last night it dropped down to 23. I think the clouds came in from Michigan last night. It's about 55 right now. Had some folks from Columbus, Ohio stop yesterday. The fellow apparently owns some property on the other side of the salt flat. They used to live down here and then they moved back to Columbus. He's having trouble selling the property. He told me 30 years ago when they lived out here, this lake out here is 10 feet deep. And the water table was so high that when they put wells in, they had ended up with artesian wells. Well, then the farmers started farming the lower end of the Fremont Valley and the upper end up here, and they used so much water for irrigation that the water table fell 400 feet. So the lake dried up, and they no longer had artesian wells. And now you've only got 2 plots of land that are being irrigated. Everybody else went into bankruptcy. One thing I like to put in, all the campsites that I've stayed at that are out in the boonies like this, I like to put in these directional arrows. This one's about 20 feet long. And always put N up here for north. There's my arrowhead. Some archaeologists will stumble onto this 100 years from now and think he's got some ancient Indian symbol. Oh, the ants this morning weren't very active. They're just starting to come out right now. It's getting warm enough for them. You know, they worked on these holes for, well, decades actually. You wonder what drives them to keep working on their dwelling. It's probably the same drive that humans have. I did a little jackrabbit hunting out here yesterday evening. I didn't see any rabbits. But when I don't have my shotgun, I usually see them. Then I went over here and walked up and down this wash. They don't call them streams out here, they call them washes, because they are usually bone dry. There's a lot of volcanic pumice stone all up and down this wash over here. And there's granite and schist and sedimentary rock. It's good mineral country when you've got a variety like that, especially the volcanic stone. I've done a lot of skeet shooting out here. A lot of clay pigeons up and down the wash here. I'll do a lot of metal detecting out in here and then up in the hills and the little valleys and the hilltops. Back about 1910, there's a prospector up here, and these are the El Paso Mountains all through here. And he was back in the El Paso Mountains, and he found some gold placer back in these hills. It's gold nuggets just resting on top of the ground, and took all he could carry, and he started down to San Bernardino, pick up more supplies and celebrate. And over here he made a marker so he could find the place again, and spent time in San Bernardino, and he came back after he'd claimed the plot of land with a couple of fellows to help him, and they found his marker, but they could not find the exact spot up here again in the mountains, and no one's ever found it since. But I hear so many of those stories out here that you kind of wonder if 90% of them are somebody's a figment of somebody's imagination. I'm gonna have to run in town and get Anthony a birthday card. His birthday is December 1st, and I'll have to get Amber's. Hers is December 27th. I hope. Sometimes I even forget my own deliberately. Yep, 41 in February. It's been one incredible year and a half for me. Well, I have a lot of guilt about not being with the kids and keeping up on my financial obligations, but in the end I'll work it out. But right now, God bless it, I'm just going to enjoy myself. They say life is too short for work and worry. These mountains over here, this is called the Rand, R-A-N-D mountain chain, and that was a rich area too for silver and gold, borax, and magnesium. About 18 miles to the south over here is the 20 Mule Team borax route. They took into Mojave to load up the freight cars with borax heading east. Then down in here is the desert tortoise wildlife sanctuary. I'd like to get down there and see if I can videotape some of the tortoises. But I have a feeling they're probably buried underground now, hibernating. When it's warmer, 90 and 100 degrees, there's a lot of rattlesnakes all through this whole area here. And I don't think the Gila monster is up this far north. They're basically extreme southern Arizona and the southern or southeastern tip of California down into Mexico. Now they've got some desert bighorn in this area, mule deer, mountain lion, bobcat, ringtail cat, and roadrunners. Of course, I don't know what the roadrunners eat when the lizards and snakes go into hibernation. Well, it's 6:41 in the morning. The sun has just come over the Rand Mountains. And right at this very moment, it is 20 degrees. Got the burners going in there. It's nice and toasty. About 70. Doesn't take long for the sun to warm things up, though. It's nice and warm in the afternoon. Yeah, I was gonna wash my face this morning, but I think I'll wait. I usually heat water up in the trailer there. Well, I'll tell you one thing out here. You really have to hunt for firewood. There's just no trees. Oh, this mesquite bird's pretty good, though. Haven't had a campfire yet. I just put my racks together last night. Found some scrap lumber laying around. I'll have to look around for some more. Really makes a difference with these bigger propane tanks. I got two big ones, brand new, and they hold almost twice as much as the little tanks I had. So I've got enough propane to heat the trailer in the morning and cook my dinner, heat my coffee water. I don't use my my furnace that much now. I turn on a burner in the morning and she'll get up. Right now it's 79, and I put a little hot water in there for washing and got coffee going. I've got about 4 boxes of tea that Bobby gave me up on the Klamath River, so I put the tea bags in to go along with my coffee. Just to use it up. And I miss my National Public Radio. I just barely get it in down here. Can't really hear it. So I listen to the local stations. Still keeping up on my writing. And going over my maps here, I've marked all the locations in yellow where they've found gold in the past. It's upside down. My location is right here. And the town of Mojave is down here. California City, population about 2,400 is right here. And Johannesburg and Randsburg is over here. Ridgecrest is up here, and I'm kind of right in the middle. Everything's 10 to 20 miles away from me. This is a map I picked up down at the real estate company. Couldn't get any topo maps in this area, so this works pretty good. It's detailed. This is the way to climb mountains. Had some trail bikers going through. Takes them about 4 minutes and takes me about an hour. These are some bikers from LA who are doing some trail riding. The one fellow here was chasing a jackrabbit along the crest of the hill, keeping right up with it too. The fellow in the blue broke the chain guard off his chain when he hit a rock. I wanted to borrow some tools, so I brought out the wrench. They're camped over here on the other side of the Rand Mountains. Couldn't believe how they were keeping up with that jackrabbit. It was right on its tail for a couple minutes. Well, the end of another day on the Mojave. Most people think of the Mojave Desert as being flat, but it has a lot of mountains. This is called Castle Mountain. Looks like an island. I haven't had one of those spectacular sunsets yet. Well, this is November 21st. Well, probably the first thing I should mention is I forgot your anniversary. Happy anniversary. Even though it was a few days ago. I was up on the mountain over here going through this mining tunnel, and I came out and all of a sudden I had a dozen jet fighters down in this area down here below me in a big dog fight, and I thought, my God, they're going to hit the ground the way they were streaking back and forth and making big loops and getting behind each other, and they'd fly off and try and get the sun in the face of the fighter behind so that the guy couldn't see him. Really impressive. And then about half an hour ago, I had one come over the mountain right here, just nicking the rocks, and he shot down low, about 100 feet off the ground, and went across the Fremont Valley and then skipped up over the hill. Boy, these guys are, I'll tell you, they come through here so fast that you have no time to videotape it. Really impressive, though. I like to see that sort of thing. Picked up some nice rock specimens yesterday. I'll put this on the macro setting so you can see it. Take just a second to do it. Oh, there I am. Okay, this right here is kind of a pretty thing. It's got a lot of kind of an amber crystal in there. And then this right here is a piece of jasper with a vein running through it. And then I found a piece of carbonite rock with some gold running through it. Picked this up at the mine shaft. Gold is in this location right here, just little specks. Pretty stuff. And it's got copper in it. You can see the kind of a turquoise blue color. Here's a piece I'm going to send Anthony. I think he'll like it. It's got a nice piece of gold right here. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's pretty visible. Well, I've learned how to cut my own hair. I decided to take 2 fingers, and anything I get there, I cut. There's no girls out here to impress, so I don't care what it looks like. But it feels good. It's cool. Yeah, I wish those jet fighters had gone through when I had the video camera. It would have been really a fantastic sequence. To have that many fighters together in combat, you would swear they're going to collide with each other, hit the ground. They're so fast that one that came over this morning, before I even heard the guy, he was over here, just about right above me. And then the the sound wave behind him just came over the hill. Now, if I'd been the enemy, he could have launched a missile, and I wouldn't even have realized he was here until that sound came over. During the night, it gets down into the 20s, and usually by, well, 10 o'clock, I put on a short sleeve shirt. Out in the sunlight, it probably hits 75 and 80, but the temperatures I'm recording, I record in the shade of the trailer over here. Like right now it's 60 shade. Out here it's probably 70. Getting ready to head up the canyon. Always carry food, water, heavy shirt in my pack, matches, compass, toilet paper. Can't forget my gold finder. Bees out here are terrible. There's such a scarcity of water. They're always trying to get into my hand washing basin. Adios. Eight hours later, I'm back. Found about 6 nuggets that big. Of course, I threw them back, let them grow a little bit more. More days, we'll have a full moon. Well, it's the end of the day. Came back from up canyon. Saw a lot of interesting things, but didn't find any gold. Got a freight train down here with over 100 cars. And it's got 5 locomotives here. It's got a few more locomotives in the middle. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 locomotives right here. More looks like coal cars. And, borax cars, or boron. Directly takes in the whole Fremont Valley. There's the caboose. Going awful slow, I'd say about 10 or 15 miles an hour. Pretty sunset. There's Castle Mountain off in the distance. I went up the canyon about 2 miles. An old completely torn down prospector's shack, just the foundation. Well, this is the morning of the 23rd. Last night they must have had a nuclear test or some damn thing because the ground shook. Either that or it was an earthquake. Well, tomorrow's Thanksgiving. I think I'll go into town and have dinner. Probably McDonald's. No. I'm sure there's some places that specialize in Thanksgiving dinners on Thanksgiving Day. Well, I'm going to go back up the valley today. I don't think it's going to rain. I'll take the video camera this time. There's quite a few interesting things to see up there. I usually put my awning up at night in case the wind kicks up. I hate getting up in the middle of the night, having to put the awning in. And then during the day, if it looks like it's not going to blow, I'll put the awning out. Trailer gets pretty hot during the daylight hours. Sun hits it. Well, I'm heading up the canyon, checking an old placer mining site. Up here on the cliff face is a large nest of, I believe it's a hawk. Well, a lot of people drive up here, but I won't take a chance. That sand gets awful deep, loose. You'll see an example of what happens to some people up here when they drive their vehicles up. Here the canyon begins to narrow down, and you get more bedrock through here. That's where your gold is resting, right on top of the bedrock. There's a lot of quartz up through here. A lot of pink rock. I'll probably check this along here some other day. I can't imagine anybody taking their vehicle through here. Some of these rocks poke up about a foot. Take out their oil pan and transmission, anything else that comes in contact with. We'll see the end result of somebody's folly up here. Probably rather expensive. Looks like the motorcyclist has been using the roof for a jump ramp. It's been here a little while. Almost looks like possibly a Jeep wagon here, maybe. I think what happened, they hit those rocks down there and took out their piece of their undercarriage, or some of the guts. I'm taking a few bullet rounds since it's been here. Back in the old days, they had a lot of trouble with Paiute Indians. You kind of wonder if maybe there's some wild Paiutes left. But anyway, I'll bet you it really pissed them off when the thing broke down. This is the end of the line right here. It's been cannibalized a little bit. The old road used to run up along here, but it's washed out in too many places to use. Well, there's my destination. Looks like the foundation of an old tent camp, possibly. He's got a little fireplace built in there. Now I see signs of work having been done on the crest of the hill right here. The river used to run up here. There's a lot of rounded streamstone. And then over here there's more rounded streamstone. It's never been worked. It's right on top of bedrock. Possibility there could be some gold left up here. And maybe some over here. Use my metal detector. All of this filming I'm taking here is in the El Paso mountain chain. Got a little bit of moisture down here. It's the first I've seen in the mountains. This area here. The bees and the butterflies are lapping it up. These honeybees, I'll tell you, they're so goddamn aggressive. I think they could be some of the African strain. They go right after you. They're 10 times worse than the yellow jackets back home. They're very aggressive. Looks like our Michigan woods butterfly. Well, needless to say, I'm going to dig down in here and see if I can get enough water for panning and see all of the salt deposits. The canyon walls are a lot steeper up here. Not quite as much exposed rock, though. This is the shelter of a sort. Since wood was so scarce up here, they used rock and probably tent fabric. It's got a nice little fireplace they built. It's got a little chimney coming out the top here. We'll do a little metal detecting right around in here. I'm sure hundreds of other people have too, but you never know. We'll go up here and show you the diggings. The area they worked, they cleaned all the river rock that was up here off the eroding granite. Very possibly they may have left a few nuggets in here. But the river did run up on the ridge here, and then along this point where the rounded streamstone is over here. And I just noticed over here there's rounded streamstone, so the river ran up here and along the to this point here. There's rounded stone over here too. So I'll check those spots out too. And then also below with my metal detector. So that gold always has a tendency to head downhill. Over here on top of this ridge, you can see where a volcanic lava flow went through. That real dark material is the lava stone, pumice. The lava rocks that I've got around my camp down there possibly came from this lava deposit up here. Well, I'm going to get to work. There's some beautiful bedrock down here. I'm going to check that out. I'm sure it's been cleaned up pretty good. Babies can move. Get him in my viewfinder. I think he was after this commercial jet up here. He probably pretended it was a Russian reconnaissance plane, because he was headed off in that direction. I read an article one time that the Air Force on a regular basis will use passenger jets as imaginary targets. Here's that miner's shelter. Well, heading back to the camp, laden down with gold. Did find a lot of slugs though. Well, now that shot's going to turn out I just took. I've got the camera on my shoulder, and I turned it up like so. Had a black, like a Bronco come through, and get her through here. Don't see any dripping oil or fluid. I wouldn't bring a truck up here. like we're going to get some rain. I'm going to head back for camp before I get my stuff wet. I'm shooting from the hip right now. I don't know if I'm getting anything, but if I don't, you'll know why. Well, made it back to my valley. Trailer's just around the corner down there. And the wind is picking up behind me, which might mean some rain. Looks awful rainy back there. It's about 2 miles back where I came from, up the canyon. Just saw a little portion of the hike. General Fremont went through that valley chasing Paiute Indians. That's why they call it Fremont Valley now. And Jedediah Smith went through here too, being chased by Paiutes. Ended up down in San Bernardino, and the Mexicans booted him out. He was one of the first Americans to venture down into that area. The Mexicans were very perplexed that he was down there in the first place. Well, home sweet home. Got some rather interesting cloud formations over here. We're off in the southwest. Now if they touch the ground, I'm going to head for the ditch. Two swirls up there. Actually 3. The sun is just setting right now. Makes a rather interesting shot. I wonder if I should take a still shot. Now they aren't dark enough for tornado clouds. They're interesting. Sun. Wind is beginning to pick up. I'll have to put my awning down. If they touch the ground, the wind is really going to pick up. This is really spectacular. It's beginning to look like the Aurora Borealis. Got grays and whites and kind of a violet, yellows. The air looks yellow around me. pretty. I don't know if I can do it justice with the video. It's fantastic. You don't see this sort of thing in Michigan. I think the winds create these cloud formations going through the mountain passes. This is really fantastic. It's just beautiful. It's this way all around me. You've got a little blue sky over here. But this right here is spectacular. It's gorgeous. Well, one more shot, I guess. Look at these clouds up here. They almost look solid. As though someone took a brush and some oil paints. Unbelievable. This is the prettiest sunset I've ever seen. The moon is just beginning to come up over here. Got a little peak of blue sky between the valley walls. And the battery light's coming on. I have to recharge it. Oh, this is spectacular. Looks like the day of creation. It changes every minute. Well, we've got some huge dust devils down here throwing up sand. Really see them on the video or not, but they're down there. Had some real strong Santa Ana winds all last night and this morning right out of the southwest. It's been rocking the trailer all day. I think I was the victim of a napalm attack this morning. Jet fighter came screaming out of the canyon, went directly over the trailer about 100 feet, and then flew across the valley and up over the hill. But I shot him down with a Stinger heat-seeking missile. Pretty good storm off to the east. I think I might miss it. Here comes the moon. It's pretty. Well, this is November 25th. Had a good rain last night. Collected quite a bit for washing and doing the laundry. Had some company pull in last night. I've got 3 motorhomes down here in the pickup, and some folks out near the road out here. All from California. Weekend prospectors. I tipped my awning, and I had a jerry can with a funnel down there, and I caught about 5 gallons of water for taking a bath. Well, the end of another day on the Mojave. This raven has been circling back and forth next to the, or I should say over the top of the campsite where the other folks were camped. They left just this morning. Raven's down there looking for scraps. Yeah, they had a bit of a bad weekend. There's an older fella, ruptured his back, motorcycling, and he had to go to the hospital. And then one of the wives, a girl about 30, had a cyst on one of her ovaries, and she ended up rupturing that when she hit a chuck hole. Had to take her out with an ambulance. It's kind of a bad weekend for those folks. Woke up this morning, there was thick frost on the truck. It was about 30 degrees. A lot of fog in the valley this morning. Well, I haven't been finding very much gold up here. I think I'll head over to Randsburg and spend a couple weeks there. That's just about 20 miles east of here. And I think tomorrow, which is the 27th, I'm going to do my laundry and charge up the video batteries. Pick up a birthday card for Anthony, a little money in it, and send that off. It's amazing the fact that you've got one Joshua tree out here, and in this whole valley you don't see any other Joshua trees. This is the only one right there. How it got here and why there's just one, I'll never know. It's about 12 feet tall. That's the one I used for the sunset picture. This is the old mining town of Randsburg. That's where I pick up my mail and my groceries. The general store here has an old-fashioned soda fountain. On weekends, this town is really bustling with hundreds of motorcyclists and tourists. This is Jake's Junkery. This is a mining museum. A lot of the tools they used and rock specimens. It's a locomotive they used inside the mine shafts or tunnels. Just crush the ore. You'd hook a mule and have them go around and around, pushing the rocks, or stamp mill. The Yellow Aster mine is up on the hillside. They took tens of millions of dollars of gold and silver out of the mountain. We've got tunnels all underneath the town. Here's an old gas pump. got some real weathered housing out here. Still being used, little cracker box shacks. There's still gold in the mine, but it's been closed down for a few years. Got a lot of these around town. Of course, a lot of the buildings didn't survive. Like Tombstone, this town has burned down several times and rebuilt. Off in the distance you can see the Rand Mountains. My camp is just over the hill here, about 15 miles. Well, this is an ore car. It's about 3.5 feet high, 3 feet long. They've got equipment like this all over town. People use them for lawn ornaments. And this is a gold dry washer with a conveyor on it. How'd you like to spend the night in here? This is the road coming into town. Looks a bit like Appalachia. You can see some equipment working up here on the mountain. When the three prospectors discovered this place, or the gold up on the hill there, they were on their last pound of bacon. And overnight they became multi-millionaires. This is the mine site. Town. This is the Pickle mining camp. I cut the article out of the paper about this fellow here. There's a B-52 bomber and a chase plane. Well, this is November 29th. I'm moving my camp about 5 miles north of the other site that I was at. Down below you can see the Indian Wells Valley, and Highway 14 runs up the middle of it. These are the Sierra Nevada mountains off in the distance. See a little bit of snow up there. Now they have pines up in the hills up toward the top. You can see the dark features, pine forest. This camp I'm going to set up in Bonanza Gulch, which runs off Last Chance Canyon, is about 1,000 feet higher, so it'll be a little colder. And 15 miles up the valley is the little town of Indian Wells, and then about 15 miles off in this direction is the China Lake U.S. Naval Weapons testing ground. And these are the Black Hills. I call them black because of the black volcanic lava. This is Black Mountain. I'll be off the highway, let's see, about 6 miles, I think. And the El Paso Mountains are just over the ridge here. It's a better metal detecting area up here. I wasn't finding anything down in the lower reaches of Last Chance Canyon. Road is real nice. It's all sand and just a gradual incline, nothing steep. This area here used to be a prehistoric river valley, and they had a lot of swamps. And as the people have been mining and going into the hills, they've been finding mastodon skeletons and rhinoceros, saber-toothed cats, and a lot of petrified wood. This used to be heavily forested, and the river valley down here was quite wide, very wide river basin, very swampy. And I'm trying to run out this tape. It's just about done, so I'll let her run until she's kaput. Now, Bickle Camp, that old prospector, I'll send the news clipping along with this tape, and you can read about him. The place I'll set my camp up at is just about a mile